You know, folks, I often talk about the fact that the federal government is not the country. That the federal government is not the country. And I've written about it. But I'll tell you what, listening to the news media, which is all Washington and government-centric, even some of our friends on Fox, some of our friends in talk radio, some of our columnist friends, watching some of these politicians, again, all Washington and government-centric, all of them. You wouldn't know that. Before the federal government, quote-unquote, shut down, and all of it did not, quote-unquote, shut down. Well, let's play along. Before the federal government shut down, they told us of all these dire consequences. Before the sequester, they told us of all these dire consequences. Now, there's no question for some people it's been dire, but for the vast majority of the nation, it's not dire. And listening to these hysterical, breathless news reports and watching even some of my friends on Fox and listening to some of my friends in talk radio capitulate. Okay. We sent our message. Now it's time to surrender. Surrender what? Do what? So the parks are shut down. They'll be open in a couple of weeks. And there's other efforts underway right now to make things as inconvenient for you as possible. I understand some paychecks are going to be delayed. Not today, but in 10 or 14 days. I was through that. I worked in the Reagan administration. It happened several times. And in the private sector, I was unemployed for 9 or 10 months. I understand that. But folks, you folks in the federal government, of which there are many, WMAL country and other places, you're going to be reimbursed. You're going to get your money at some point. It happens every single time. Listen to these people on TV and to the news media. You'd think we were suffering from the plague. You'd think there was civil strife, riots in the streets. And yet the essential services, as defined by the government itself, go on. The irony of the essential versus non-essential is apparently lost on the big spenders. But our country, not the federal government, our country is suffering, not from this so-called government shutdown, but from the federal government's policies. We have 9.5 million Americans that have left the workforce during this presidency. Almost 10 million Americans have dropped out. No hope, no job, no income, nothing. Do you hear this talked about endlessly, day after day, week after week? Do they debate this on the Senate floor, on the House floor? Do you hear it at the top of the hour news? Where are those 10 million Americans? Where did they go? Did they disappear? 10 million Americans, 2.5 times the size of the federal bureaucracy. Does anybody give a crap about them? Americans in this country, the middle class as we call us, the middle class. Your median income is down. Almost $3,000 in Obama's first term alone. People in poverty up to almost 7 million more people under this president. Over 46 million people officially labeled by our government certified as poor. Do you ever hear this discussed? For a week, for a day, for an hour. As a result of government policies, people literally lost their homes over government manipulation in the mortgage markets and our loan system. The housing market, we're still suffering from it, collapsed. Do you hear discussion about that today? No, you don't. Good Lord, ladies and gentlemen, these people are so Washington and government-centric. They don't even know what's going on in the broader country. The vast majority of us, although we are a shrinking majority, but still the vast majority of us can survive without the non-essential parts of the federal government operating for a week or two or a month and so forth. This is not the plague. It's not riots and violence in the streets. There's some inconvenience, not for everybody, but for some people. Some people being furloughed, some people losing their paychecks. I understand. This is what happens when you have a president like this, who plays chicken with the nation. This is what happens. But we can't simply capitulate to it. We can't simply give in to it. The man has driven up our debt by himself by $6.5 trillion. And if he had his way, it'd be up $10 trillion more. 90% of us had health care, and 90% of us were satisfied with the health care that we had. The 90% of the 90%. We never wanted this law. We wanted nothing to do with Obamacare. But Obama and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, their party, their ideologues, their experts, their academics, their special interests, their lobbyists, their unions, they wanted it. Now we have it. And now they tell us there's nothing we can do about it. Is this some kind of damn dictatorship? What do you mean there's nothing we can do about it? We need to do everything humanly possible to stop it, to unravel it, because it affects each and every one of us. Our parents, our children, our spouses, our grandchildren. It affects us all. And it's going to be a disaster. And we know it's going to be a disaster. I don't care how much propaganda they feed us. Over 23 million people are unemployed or underemployed in this country. Does anybody talk about them? No, the government shutdown. 42% of them who are unemployed, long-term unemployed. Government shutdown. Obama's at war with the private sector. Obama's at war with capitalism. That's far more serious than a temporary shutdown of a portion of the government that the government says is non-essential. And then I think about this great country. Forget about this federal government. I think about the great country. Sacrifice. We have men and women in uniform, half my age or younger. They are overseas in one hellhole or another, facing barbarians, and I mean barbarians, who would decapitate them in a second if they could, who would shoot them in the back of the head if they could, who would drag them through the streets if they could. They murder children and women, innocent human beings. They go into churches. They do all these things. That's sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen. These are 19-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 28-year-olds, 34-year-olds, and so forth. And we're sitting here whining about a damn park being shut for a week or a few days. And we're sitting here whining that we can't see on a camera the panda at the National Zoo. And we're sitting here whining about some inconvenience. We may not get paid in 2 weeks, but we're surely going to get paid in 3 weeks. When they put their lives on the line to defend this country, that's sacrifice. You want to know sacrifice? The men who fought the Revolutionary War for 8.5 years. That was sacrifice. The men who fought the Civil War, 750,000 casualties. That was sacrifice. The people who fought in World War I and World War II and Korea and Vietnam and all the other wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and one crap hole from the next. That's sacrifice. That's sacrifice. I don't give a damn if they shut a park for a week. They're going to hold that over our heads? Have we Americans become that weak? Have we become that fearful? Oh my goodness, they're shutting down the non-essential powers of the government. What shall I do? What shall I do? What the hell do you think you should do? They are extorting us. They are demanding that we capitulate to this centralized, authoritarian, iron-fisted healthcare law, where you are going to give up your privacy rights to the Internal Revenue Service, for God's sakes. You didn't ask for this. This was imposed upon you. Elections have consequences. This is a republic. The Constitution has consequences. Oh, these people wringing their hands. Time to give it up. Just fund the damn thing. Folks, this is our country. We need people who are going to defend us. We need people who are going to look out for us. We need people who share our values, which we inherited from the founders of this country. We need people who are strong enough to stand up politically and stare down the Washington and government-centric, iron-fisted bureaucracy and politicians and their media kiss-asses. And that includes Republicans and conservatives in the media. $125.4 billion in estimated federal improper payments in one fiscal year, 2010. And they won't cut it. Instead, they shut down the non-essential services of the government. That's 5.5% of the $2.3 trillion in reported outlays for related programs that they reviewed. $125.4 billion in 2010, and it's more now. Obamacare is already a bureaucratic disaster. It's corrupt. It's corrupt. Tens of millions of dollars being siphoned off to pay for Democrat Party operatives. And we have all these great masterminds in the Republican Party and the conservative movement all over TV telling us this is a Republican loser. This is a loser for the Republicans. How about the nation? How about we think about the nation? How about the nation winning? How about the nation being successful? I don't give a damn. It's a loser, a winner, inside the beltway. Who cares? Who cares? Sometimes you do what's right. And it's smart. You don't keep waging battle the next day. You don't keep taking steps backwards. We're losing our country. Forget about the damn federal government. We're losing our country. And that's what we're fighting for. That's who we conservatives are. And you, the detestable Harry Reid and Obama and all the rest, you dismiss us as Tea Party Republicans, as anarchists, as right-wingers. We are the American people. We're not going anywhere. And we're going to be in your face all the time. And that's the way it